Luciano, thank you so much for taking the time to do this interview. As Group CEO of Staedean, you've spent nearly 2 decades building one of the most distinctive vertical software businesses in the Microsoft Dynamics ecosystem, navigating a carve-out, a PE-backed sale, a full rebrand, and now a major AI transformation. With more than 2,000 customers across 45 countries and the portfolio spanning manufacturing, life sciences, and rental, your perspectives on where vertical ERP is heading and how AI is reshaping it is exactly why we wanted you in this chair today. At Dedale, we've been tracking public markets and B2B software and tech for 5 years now. It's been a rocky start to 2026. Some people are describing it as a real reset with SaaS valuations, growth multiples under real pressure. However, you've been vocal about companies that build competitive advantage in turbulent times rather than waiting for perfect conditions. And that's the thread we want to pull on today. But before we get into all of that, could you please start by introducing yourself?
Thank you. Thank you for that introduction already, and thank you for having me here today. Happy to have this conversation with you. My name is Luciano Cunha. I'm the CEO here at Staedean. As you said, I've been here for almost 2 decades now. I've been here for 19 years, but have been in the industry for, hate to say it, but over 30 years now. So I've been around for quite some time. And I've seen a lot, and I think what we're going to talk today is a culmination of the last 30 years of my career and all the changes that we've seen and lived through the last 20 years here at Staedean. So excited to talk about it at exciting times right now with all the craziness of AI and how that's going to disrupt our marketplace. So absolutely have lots of thoughts on that, and looking forward to talking about it with you today.
Okay, great. Thank you. So first question is about the journey of Staedean. You've been leading this company, as you said, for 19 years through a sale, a rebrand. If you had to describe Staedean's journey in a couple of words, what would they be and why?
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's a tough one because it's been a lot in the last 20 years. So that's why I think I'll start with reinvention as the first one. Because that's what we've had to do. We have to continue to reinvent ourselves, certainly now, with everything that's going on around the world, and keep finding different ways to become a better company, not just for us as for our employees for sure, but also for our customers, obviously, and our partners, because a lot has changed in the last couple of decades. So reinvention is certainly one of the words that I use to describe the company. Another one would be resilience, because this didn't come easy. You talked about some of the changes that we've gone through from being a small private company and a small company in the middle of the Netherlands to really becoming a global company, and now private equity backed and rebranding, and it doesn't come easy. Sometimes from the outside it looks like it's easy, but we certainly have gone through a lot of hard work to make this happen, and we had to be resilient through all that as people, as employees to the company, but also work through with our customers and partners through to make sure that they are resilient as well in some of the tough markets we've seen in the last many years. But the last word I would use is people, because none of it could be done without people, starting with our people, the ones who have been working through and helping us in this transformation, but also our partners, which are key to us in the marketplace to bring our products to our customers and make sure that our customers are getting value out of it. And of course, our customers themselves, because without them, we wouldn't be in business today. So that's what I would say represents us.
Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot. It's very interesting. So reinvention, resilience, people are the 3 keywords that I should keep for myself. Great. And perhaps going now more on the reinvention side. So when you rebranded from To Increase to State in July 2024, I would like to understand what drove that decision and what were you really signaling to the market?
Yeah. Good question. And I get asked that question all the time because it's not a small job, and certainly not a paint job. It's not like we just took the same car and put a different coat of paint around it. It certainly wasn't that. It was signaling that we had become a different company, a company that was much bigger than what we were before. If you just think about a few years ago, let's say 2017, then we were a 50-person company in Veenendaal, right in the middle of the Netherlands. And now we are over 200 people across the globe with headquarters in Amsterdam. The old name To Increase was a known name within the Dynamics ecosystem, but it was too generic. It was just not really representative of anything. It was just a generic name that we also couldn't own. And I really wanted something that was unique to us, that we could own and that could showcase what we're all about and what we bring to the marketplace. So it was bigger than just the name itself. It was really us showcasing to the market that we are a different company. We are not a small Dynamics ISV. We are a global software company that helps customers bringing value to our customers so that they can grow and become better. This move really signified our new identity, our direction, and as a standalone company as well, because we used to be part of a publicly traded company before as part of a group of companies, whereas now we are our own company, separated out and standalone. So we wanted to make sure that we had our own brand that we could own globally as a unique way to represent who we are as an organization. So that was quite a big project and quite a big transition for us. But looking back, I'm very happy with all the work our teams have done to be able to create Staedean.
Okay, great. Thank you. And coming back to your three words, you were speaking about resilience, so that you became a global company and now PE-backed. And basically in 2021, you led the sale of To Increase to Rivean Capital. What I would like to understand on this sale is, what did that experience teach you about building a business to be sellable? And what made you want to stay in the driver's seat rather than exit with it?
Yeah, great questions. So I'll start with the sellable. What makes a business sellable? Actually, when you think about it, and certainly through this process, I continue to see that to be true, that a business that's sellable, it's just a good business, right? So what I focused on is making sure that I have a resilient business with the right people in the right places, with customers that won't leave and they'll stick around with us, and clean numbers and the ability to grow. And if you build that, that's just building a good company. And when you build a good company, the sales just come along, right? There's just it's just a side effect of that. And it takes care of itself at that point. So I think, again, the question is, what does it take to build a sellable business? Just build a good business. And don't focus so much on what the investor is or who the owner is. You build a business for the future, for the long run, and that is what's going to create the equity value that helps you in selling the business at some point in time. And I truly believe in that. It's not about just putting lipstick on a pig and showcasing a company in a particular way. No, just build a future-proof business that's good. And again, as it goes, it'll sell itself. And then you said the other side of the question was, why did I end up staying and not just exiting at the time of exit? It's a good question. I felt like I just wasn't done yet. I felt like there was a lot of opportunity still to continue to build up that great business. There was a lot of value that was not yet unleashed, and we've gone through tremendous changes since then. And I felt like I wanted to help the organization go through to maturity. So if you even go back to what we discussed a second ago in terms of the name change, so we were growing from not a baby, because we're a little bit of a teenager, and now we're an adult. And I wanted to see the company through that transition and help the company achieve that growth. So I felt like I still needed to be part, or that I still wanted to be part of that to take it further in its journey. And it's been a great ride. I've really enjoyed doing so with our teams here.
Okay, great. And you were speaking about like building a future-proof business. So now let's let's go into this future-proof business. I would like to understand, have a few questions around like the hype around AI while we are moving from AI features to AI agents and like everything about data readiness. So perhaps my first question is Microsoft is now openly saying that traditional business applications will eventually collapse into AI agents. And as an ISV that's built on Dynamics for 20 years, is that a threat or an opportunity or both? How do you think about it?
Yeah, great question, and I get asked that all the time. I talk to investors fairly often, and also other software companies in the industry, and this has been brought up so many times, especially since we've seen the AI Armageddon, where all the software companies' valuations were declining tremendously. But here, let me just, and I write openly about this, and I've talked about it many times. So the way I see it is, it's in reality, it's both. It's a threat, and it's absolutely an opportunity. What does that mean? Well, if you're a software company that's just building screens and little features to help, with different forms to help the application, it's a big threat because the limitation is no longer the code. It's no longer writing code. It's no longer that part of the technology or the technology in itself, because technology now helps you in building more technology. So that could be a threat for those who are building screens and forms. But for us, where we're building deep in a particular industry with a lot of business knowledge, that's the opportunity that we take. So we leverage across the business, both internally for our own organization and our own operations, writing code, for example, as well as externally, as we're launching more products with AI capabilities to the marketplace. We see that as a great opportunity for us to continue to differentiate ourselves in the marketplace, because we're able to do something that I don't think AI by itself is ever going to be able to do, which is harnessing the power and the knowledge of our collective who's been doing our industries and our focus in our industries for so long, serving thousands of customers worldwide, collecting all of that with the power of knowing how to harness the power of technology, which includes AI, but absolutely includes still the transactional system, which is still going to be there, and being able to create solutions that help clients unleash their own potential and help them grow. That's where I see the opportunity. Again, if you're doing generic applications, forms out there, that we can see that there's a big threat. With the depth of understanding of the industry, harnessing the power of technology and AI to speed up even further the speed to market with some of these solutions, it's absolutely an opportunity for us. I get reminded of that daily when I talk to our customers. It's incredibly difficult, even though to us it seems like it's an easy thing to do, but it's incredibly difficult to be able to take this knowledge from all of these interactions we've had for all these years and be able to harness the technology in such a way to create something that's repeatable, that can do the same thing over and over again, something that will last over many, many years, that you can count on in a scalable way across the enterprise, with the depth of understanding of that particular industry and all the work intricacies that it takes. It's incredibly difficult to do, if not with the experience that we have. And therefore, I see this as a great opportunity, and we're leveraging it highly to be able to bring great products to market that leverage all sides of the ecosystem.
Okay, very interesting. And you've been very vocal as well about data maturity being the foundation for any real AI strategy. In your experience with manufacturers, life sciences companies, where are most organizations actually at? What is blocking them?
Yeah, and as you said, I am very vocal about it. And I know some organizations don't like that I am so vocal about it, because they say, well, there is no blocker here. You don't need to have great data to be able to have great AI. And I have to say I disagree. Garbage in, garbage out. If you don't have great information to be able to leverage it, within your systems for AI to be able to take on and take a look at it, then you're not going to be able to get the right answers. Even when you have today, even when you have great structured information, AI still struggles to make it repetitive in a certain way. We create applications that make it so with AI, but it takes quite some work and harnesses to be able to make that happen. Imagine when you have bad data. So my point here is that I think that the ability to truly leverage AI at an enterprise level, when you're leveraging lots of company information from multiple different systems, which is the reality of our customers, you need to be able to have good, clean data. And it's not a one-time job, because some people also think about, well, if I clean up my data during the migration, when I move to the cloud, then I'm good enough. No, a lot of data, bad data gets created as the users are leveraging it. I mean, I talk to customers all day, every day, and the customers just tell me, and sometimes they've given up. In their mind, they go, this is just what we need to do. And we know our users, because they're people, they're going to enter bad data in the system. And that's just how reality is. Not quite. There are applications, we bring some of those to market that help you users in creating guardrails to help them in maintaining clean data. And there are different ways for you to be able to do that. And if you don't have that clean data, you're going to potentially get wrong answers. And now, even worse, with AI, Agentic ERP, you can get wrong actions on top of that. So you need to make sure you start with clean data first and foremost. A great platform is good to begin with. So Dynamics is able to help you there, making sure you have great data, a great data foundation, and then leveraging on top of that the Agentic ERP, the Agentic experience that you have both within the ERP as well as with vertical solutions or data solutions like we bring to the table to make this successful. What I see with our customers is they're not even close on the clean data side, much less going into the AI side. And we've seen that in the marketplace. It's taken quite some time for some of these customers to be able to take advantage of it. So we help them with tools to be able to focus on the data layer first, make sure that we get that cleaned up and ready to go. And then we leverage Agentic ERP from Dynamics as well as our solutions to platform off of that so that we can get moving forward. In our view there, one of the blockers is a lot of times they don't know where to go. They don't know how to leverage it or where it's going to get the biggest results. And I actually talked to a customer recently where everything for him was AI. I want to solve a problem. I need to use AI. And he described a problem where I was like, you actually don't need AI for that. So you don't need to put AI everywhere. But when you do, make it meaningful, make it specific to your industry, make it specific to your workflow to help you grow. And that's what we do. We bring those particular solutions to market to truly unlock value, because otherwise you just make a mess of it with all kinds of different gimmicks out there without being able to truly get value from AI.
Okay, very interesting. Thanks a lot. And going into like your positioning, specific positioning of Staedean and market consolidation, there is a recurring debate in the market, like build on a hyperscalers ecosystem like Microsoft or build standalone. You've made your bet already. What does embedding deeply in Microsoft give you that a standalone ERP vendor cannot replicate today?
Yeah, good question. And it's a tough one because, you have some challenges being dependent on an ecosystem, but Microsoft has such a vast ecosystem, both in terms of tools, solutions, as well as partners to do what I think is one of the reasons why we made a bet in the Microsoft ecosystem, which is reach. We want to be able to reach more clients worldwide. And there is no other vendor out there than Microsoft to have the great partner network that they have, that we have combined in order to be able to reach more customers. Our goal in the world and our purpose is to be able to solve complex problems out there for customers so that they can be successful. And we only fulfill our purpose if we're able to reach them. And Microsoft has an amazing ecosystem of partners out there that's able to take our products forward. The other thing is when you're doing something completely standalone, you have an enormous investment that you have to make on all the plumbing, let's call it that we didn't have to make, because Microsoft brings all of those tools to the table, making our job just being able to leverage our deep industry knowledge and our deep expertise to harness these tools rather than having to spend most of our time building plumbing, which is no value add for the customer. So building on that Microsoft ecosystem has helped us in minimizing the investment, making us more agile and quicker time to bring to market, though there are some consequences to that because sometimes they make changes which impact us and we don't have much of a choice there. But in general, the investment is so much lower by leveraging the Microsoft ecosystem and tools. And then the third one that I think is trust. When you're working with Microsoft, I think it's a name that's trusted in the marketplace. And people know, hey, these guys are working on a platform that we trust, that will be here for the long haul. Microsoft isn't going anywhere, and continues to reinvent themselves and bring more tools to marketplace, which will continue to uptake to bring more value to our customers. I think that part of the question here comes a little bit in if you focus just on ERP, right? If you're just on finance and supply chain built embedded in there, or if you're just in Business Central built embedded in there, which we have done over the years, but we've taken advantage of the broader ecosystem of Microsoft platforms. So we're building on Power Platform, we're building on Sales, we're building on Azure, so we're building on Fabric. So our solutions span across multiple of those tools. And what I tell my teams is that you should build where the customers need us. If the customer is in one particular area, don't force them into the ERP. Build it where it's going to make sense for that particular deep industry process for that customer, so that we can help them grow. And that's how we look at it. So for us, yes, it was a decision we made 20 years ago when we started, but I would still make that decision today. It's been great for us.
Okay, very clear. And then going into the standalone ERP vendors and other competitors that you have into competitive landscape, overall the vertical ERP and ISV space is consolidating quite fast. Private equity is rolling up, Dynamics partners, hyperscalers are moving into adjacent territory, point solutions are attacking from below. Where do you see the real competitive pressure coming from over the next 3 years, if we project ourselves into the next 3 years? And who are you most watching? And who are you most afraid of?
Yeah, good question. So yeah, of course, we see roll-ups all the time, right? This is pretty heavy happening in the industry, which is great to see because that means there's a lot of interest, and they see a great potential future in there by bringing all these companies together. There's a lot of private equity investment that's been happening in the Dynamics world in the last few years, and that's all good. It showcases the value they see in the marketplace, which is great. But again, as you said, that could be a threat as well because they are building these large conglomerates of organizations. Now, you talk about the other side, which is point solutions. So this typically smaller, very deep in that particular domain. And to me, those are a little bit scarier because, these conglomerates and building these huge companies, what we end up seeing is they become very, very defocused. They're doing everything for everybody. Whereas the point solutions are very specific in a particular niche, and they're really focused deep in that particular domain. And that's what we do. So we kind of focus on our domains of manufacturing, broken out into discrete and process, with life sciences on the process side and discrete industrial equipment, and also the rental side of that, with a data layer foundation to support all of those, but very, very deep in those domains. We know them well. I talk to our teams if they ever ask me, what does that mean to be deep in a particular industry? And my answer always is, we need to know problems that customers have before they know it themselves. That's the niche that we live in. And the more niche, the more differentiated we are. So those point solutions are the ones that I like to also buy up and roll up into our organization to strengthen the verticals that we already have, because that is the value we bring to the place today, and we'll continue to do so in making sure that these niches are well served so we can drive true value. But at the end of the day, which one is the biggest competitor? Which one am I watching the most? To be honest, the real pressure really comes from the platform itself. The world is changing very fast when it comes to technology and the platform. And I think that that's the one that we got to keep an eye on. These point solutions are great. A lot of times they're fairly small, and I'm rolling them up into my organization, on our specific verticals. The big conglomerates, they're going to be there. And actually, those are the ones that are typically delivering our products to market. But what we need to watch is how the platform evolves so that we can make sure that we continue to harness its max potential to deliver more value to our customers. Because when we continue to do that, that's what's going to continue to keep us successful and make us more successful into the future. So if there is one area that I'd say I'd watch, it's that. It's the technology, it's the platform, rather than focusing on any competitors specifically, is making sure that we stay ahead with the value we bring to the market by harnessing the changes and the dynamics that's happening within the platform today.
Okay, very interesting. And you were saying a lot about like you being a niche player and verticalized and very specific, very you have a lot of experience in your domains. What we see overall in the market is that now with what is happening overall with this AI transformation overall, a lot of PEs are looking at companies which are niche or which are specific in a specific domain or specific expertise, because this protects them from AI disruption. Because as long as you're generalist, but you're more therefore to be disrupted. Do you feel this as well? Does it protect you?
Absolutely. And I think it goes back to the earlier question we talked about. If you're doing generic just screens, those are a threat where AI is going to take over. It is the depth of what we bring to the table that differentiates us. And that's extremely hard to compete with. It's a big moat for us because we've had 20 years and thousands of customers that we've leveraged to be able to build that on. So absolutely agree with you 100%. It is that niche that helps us differentiate. Plus, it's hard to scale in a niche because some of these niches are fairly small. I mean, I talked about, industrial equipment manufacturing, which is a fairly large industry, but then you get within that equipment as a service, which is a trend that we've seen in the marketplace, but hasn't quite fully materialized. It's becoming more reality now than ever. But still, that's the rental side of the business. The rental TAM is still fairly small. And within the rental TAM, there are many sub-industries, and they all act very differently from one another. They all have different needs. We know that. And that's what we bring to the table, is that not at the manufacturing level, not at the equipment manufacturing level, not at the rental level. We're talking about crane rental companies and what they require to be successful while they're renting cranes. That's what we know. That's what we bring to the table, right? Just as an example. And we go and we do it so for many different sub-industries, many niches within this particular domain, so that we can really bring the value. And I think, as you said earlier, that's really what differentiates us and makes us resilient against, AI just coming in and taking over.
Yeah. Okay. Very, very clear. Thank you. And you recently wrote about the impact of tariffs on global supply chains and the role of ERP. What's the one thing manufacturers are systematically underestimating in how they are preparing?
Yeah, great question. I think it goes a little bit back to data again. There is a lot of information. We talk about tariffs, but one of the things about tariffs is that it's changing. That's why we're talking so much about it now, right? Because it's changing. And it's changing every day. And what you need to be as a manufacturer to be successful is to make sure that you're prepared, not just for tariffs, but you're prepared for change. And we'll go back to the foundation in data, making sure that you understand what you have, making sure where your suppliers are at, and what's the different components of doing business with them. Tariffs being one of them. I was talking to a client recently, and they were talking about how there is a specific amount of copper in a small part of their products, but they need to know that specifically because depending on the amount of copper, there is a certain tariff. So it becomes very, very minute what they need to track, but then it goes down again to data. And how do you become agile while leveraging data? Tariff being one of those things, but just understanding what you have across your supply chain. What do you do from an engineering perspective? Making sure that from your engineering systems, your data are clearly also brought into your ERP system where you're going to do your manufacturing. And what changes are made during the manufacturing process, and then later as you are maintaining that product over time. And then all of that goes around the whole supply chain with your vendors, where they're at, what are the changes. And if you're able to harness the power of technology, to really figure out how to leverage that data, then you can become not just resilient, but dynamic, and that differentiates you in the marketplace. So the question was, what are manufacturers underestimating? The value of data and how to harness the power of that, because it's not about tariffs. Tariffs will come and go. There will be more things. I mean, we talked about COVID before, right? And COVID supply chain was getting disrupted, where they, independent of tariffs, they just couldn't get the goods there. So how do you map that out and be able to leverage all of that? And I think AI brings a lot of power to that knowledge, that harness in a particular way for that particular industry can really be valuable here, and make a big difference for organizations.
Okay, very interesting. Thanks a lot. And now, if we are projecting ourselves in 3 to 5 years from now, you recently wrote about Agentic ERP, the idea that AI agents will soon handle not just business processes, but the full deployment lifecycle, right? Discovery, configuration, monitoring, optimization. In your view, how much of ERP implementation will AI agents manage within the next 3 to 5 years? And what does that mean for the role of human consultants, actually?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, and I think that agentic ERP is focused around what customers are going to be doing within their processes, right? Now we're talking about agentic implementations. So how do we bring that quick time to value when you acquire ERP or when you're upgrading an ERP and bringing that to value? And I hope that, and I know it will, that a majority of the configuration side of bringing an ERP live goes away, that agents will be able to do a lot of that. Actually, Microsoft is already working on that as Project Mia, and I think we are already doing a lot of that to be able to decrease the time it takes for you to bring an ERP live. But the concern here, it becomes less about the consultants. It becomes more about the configurators. If you're a person that is doing nothing but configuring the little check boxes in the application, that's an issue, right? That's what we want to use agents to automate and to configure for us, especially in an application as powerful as Microsoft Dynamics, where the power of the application is its flexibility and its configurability. We can leverage the power of agents to configure that. But configuration is only a portion of that, where consultants are going to be then freed up from all the configuration, let's call it admin work, that's non-added value, and they'll really focus on the high added value, which is true consulting, helping organizations on how to drive more value from the system, or to be able to improve their processes within their particular industry to really differentiate themselves and grow. So actually, it's freeing up the consultants. It's not taking their job. It's freeing up from non-value add work to high value add work that will bring more value to the customer. So I see implementations becoming shorter from a configuration perspective, more time spent on improving the organizational processes in general, how they grow as an organization, which is what our customers want. You know, our customers pay for an implementation of ERP, but what they really want is value. What they really want is better processes and better ways to grow. The ability to, for example, I was talking to a customer the other day, and they were saying, look, I've got equipment spread all over the world. I want to be able to have visibility of when they're available, when they're not available, so that I can have them available whenever. This happened to be a rental company on rent most of the time. So we have full utilization, and our system brings them that. That's the value. The fact that we had to flip 2,200 keys to be able to get there, that's what the agents will take care of. The depth in the domain, that expertise on how to leverage that to help the company grow, that's what we want to focus on. That's what I think we're going to move more into. Less configuration consultants, more business consultants that will help customers grow. So I don't see it here as a negative thing. I think as just an evolution. And the way I see it is the configuration part, AI is going to take care of that really well, and it's going to do most of that.
Yeah, okay, okay, very, very clear. And coming back, on this human people side, the three words that you said about Stadia and reinvention, resilience, and people. So I want to just to ask you about the people side. You've built a global team. When you are hiring for senior roles to do, or even junior roles, what qualities separate people who thrive at Stadian from those who do not?
Yeah. Well, good question. I'll start talking about what we've talked about this whole time so far, which is change, right? Industry's changing, macroeconomic conditions are changing. We talked about COVID, we talked about tariffs, we talked about AI and the disruption. So change is our constant today. And I think that the first thing that our people that thrive here is people that are comfortable with change. And because that we continue to reinvent ourselves, the world continues to change around us, and the people that will continue to thrive here and do thrive here are people that embrace that are comfortable with change. And not only that, I know when I interview some of the people that gets down to one of the last interviews where I might be talking to them, and I talk about all the dynamics around the channel, around Microsoft, around AI, around our customers and the macroeconomic conditions and how this all goes. If you get excited about it, you'll thrive here. If that scares you, we're probably not the right company for you. And I think that in general is a big quality that helps people thrive here. Another one is humility. It's humility so that, yes, we've done a lot. Yes, we know a lot, but we're always eager to learn. And when you pair that humility with drive, then you really thrive here in this organization. Somebody that's not thinking that we're better than anybody. We're not. We're all in this together. And even within our organization, I can't do anything without the rest of my company. We can't do anything without our partners and our customers. That's the type of humility that we should have to thrive in the organization. And then you couple that with drive, and we can really go far, or people can really go far here at Staedean. And then the last one is ownership. Take ownership. I talk about it because I meet with every single one of our new employees when they join the organization. And I always tell them, I said, hey, this company can be as good for you as you take ownership of. We have a real opportunity here people have a real opportunity to make an impact. We're big, but we're not so big. And so what I ask our people is take ownership of it. Give us feedback when you see that there are things that can be better. Don't just push it off to somebody else. Take ownership of it. Take ownership of a particular area that we can improve together. Take ownership of our clients. Take ownership of our relationship with our partners, and help us in growing, because when our partners are growing, when our customers are growing, we're going to grow as well. And so those are some of the characteristics that I think if you have, you'll certainly thrive here at this organization.
Okay, great. Well, you have built a great company. Well done.
Thank you.
And the people side is, of course, very important. And so, yeah, and you have great characteristics that make people thrive at your company. However, I would say I think that you're a CEO of this great company. I might imagine that there are still things that keep you up at night, right? Of course, you should be sometimes seeing some operational challenges, some risks. What are the things that keep you up at night overall?
Yeah, great question. I think that the biggest thing that keeps me up at night are the problems our customers are having. They are challenged today with everything that's happening around them, right? I'm often talking to customers in all of the industries we focus on, and they're challenged. And in some of those cases in ways that have not yet been solved. So it's not unusual for me at 4 o'clock in the morning sometimes to wake up with an idea and going, I heard that from that particular client, and my brain is just going, trying to figure out how do we solve it in a better way, a faster way to help them get to the next level. And I think that is what the organization does as well. It's not just me. It's built into our DNA, where we're thinking about how do we solve for that challenge that the customer is doing, or that they're having, and how do we do that in a better way in a faster way, because again, the dynamics of what's going on in the marketplace is quite high today. Markets are going up and down. Clients are really struggling to make decisions today. We've seen, customers taking much longer to make decisions today than ever before. But I think that if we continue to stay honed in and focused on driving value for our customers within our niches, and it's not easy because it's deep in a very specific, detailed niche of a sub-industry. If we continue to drive that value, everything else solves itself. It doesn't matter if we're thinking, oh, the revenues or our bottom line, or the pipeline is not building fast enough. What we need to solve for is creating more value in the marketplace for our customers. When we continue to do that, we will drive to more results. Now, of course, execution and having the right people in the right places are always key, and I'm always thinking about that too. So first and foremost, how do we solve the pains that the customers have today, which are maybe unique to the time that we're in, but then making sure that we have the right people in the right place and the right execution within the organization to be able to work with our partners, to be able to reach those customers, because it's great to have a great solution sitting on the shelf. It's worth nothing, right? Then we need to get to how do we reach the customers? How do we get it out to market, leveraging the great channel we have today, leveraging the great teams we have today. So it is solving for value and then making sure that we execute in the best way possible to reach every customer out there in the world so that we can bring value to them. And that's really what consumes a lot of my time, especially at night, trying to figure out, okay, how do we make sure that we continue to do this so we can help more customers out there?
Okay, great. And my last question would be more about you personally. If we are back in this chair in, let's say, 3 years, 3 to 5 years, what does Staedean look like, and what does success look like for you personally as a CEO?
Good question. So 3 years from now, so at Staedean, you're going to continue to see, we're going to continue to stay deep and focused in industry. That's what we do. That's where we differentiate and bring value to our customers. You're going to see an AI native company where we're leveraging technology to the max to be able to bring more value to our customers around the world in these few industries that we can go very deep in to be able to make the biggest returns for our customers. So you're going to see us continuing to do more in life sciences or process industries in general, in discrete manufacturing for large equipment manufacturers, as well as equipment as a service or rental organizations across the manufacturing domain, so process and discrete, and then leveraging data, because as I said from the beginning, without you being able to start with clean data and leveraging that well, nothing else you can leverage from there, garbage in, garbage out. So you're going to continue to see us 3 years from now just being dominant in that particular space, continue to do so as we have today. Now, we have still a few things to do to continue to move down that path, weaving AI into everything we do today. We see already great progress there, but you really see how this one data platform, one manufacturing view with AI native processes are going to be there within the next couple of years. So that's a success for us to deliver more value for our customers faster than ever, leveraging the technology, harnessing the power of technology, leveraging the depth of experience we have in our domains, for sure. Success for me personally, good question. I think that is, for me, being able to see that we've been able to fully unleash the potential that the organization can bring, that we've built up in the last 19 years that I've been here. And it's kind of like what we started with, right? I've seen this company as a baby. I was one of the first, I was employee number 24, I think, in the organization when it was founded. I've seen it grow through its infancy into its teenagehood. Now I've taken it through to adulthood. But I really want to see it as a mature adult out there that's making a difference for a lot of companies in the marketplace. Not just as an adult that's rich and is making a lot of money. Success for me means an adult that's thinking about the world around it, that is able to make a difference in the world and help organizations be successful. It's not just about making money. It's about how do we also help impact organizations all across the globe. So for me, if I can see the organization that has been able to truly unleash its potential, that'll feel good to me. That's what I think would be a success, that I've been able to be part of that process, to bring that organization to adulthood, to be a great organization to continue to deliver value across the marketplace in a very responsible and sustainable way. So I see that as a great success for me. And of course, as we have potentially another investor that's going to come in, that at some point, that I'm able to pass on that adult to the next investor, so that this company can continue to be a sustainable, future-proof organization for a very long time. That to me would be a great success.
Okay, great. Well, thanks a lot, Luciano, for your precious insights today, and well done once again for the success of Staedean. See you soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, and take care.